It was William Morris who said, "Have nothing in your home that you do not know to be functional or find to be beautiful." This is going to be part 2 of our little talk about curating a functional, casual, loungewear, sleepwear kind of wardrobe. I've been calling it a capsule, but I feel like kind of all wardrobes are capsules in their own way because they contain a finite amount of pieces, right? So everybody has a different idea of what a capsule should be. Is it 30 items? Is it 50 items? Whatever. Either way, whether you want to classify this as a capsule wardrobe, and take this into your idea of how you're streamlining your life, or whether you just, aren't really worried about the amount of items that you own. Either way, the concepts are still applicable. I wanted to talk about a few of my ideas and also just some of my favorite specific pieces that I have in my personal sleepwear part of my wardrobe, loungewear, and then also the casual part of my wardrobe as well. Loved reading all of your comments on the last video and how you all spend your time and what your messy hobbies are and what your lives are like. It's so wonderful to feel like we're kindred spirits on that level and we're not out there living, the pristine influencer life, just like living normal lives. And I'm really looking forward to your feedback, your comments, and some of your guys' favorite pieces that you have in your current wardrobe, as well as just anything that you're kind of on the search for, on the hunt for, or like wardrobe gaps that you might have. So yeah, and we're keeping it super casual, which fits the whole vibe of the day. I am in my loungewear right now, feeling a little bit 80s with my pants tucked into my socks. And yeah, let's just dive right in, okay? We'll start with talking about not loungewear, it's sleepwear, because I feel like that's just like the right place to start, okay? Let me get some of my coffee. I don't know if anybody else does this, but if my coffee sits too long and goes cold, I end up just turning it into an iced coffee and just chuck some ice in there and we're good to go. So if anybody else needs that as a life hack, I hope that this works for you. Okay, so sleepwear. I wanted to start by talking about nightgowns, which I feel like I've kind of talked to death at this point about my Salter House nightgowns, which I love and adore. I feel like nightgowns are very nostalgic, very much so like a thing of the past, a little bit of like granny associations. But you don't have to go for the whole like long white cotton voile nightgown like what I have. But I know that some people like to wear like those shorty ones, kind of like basically like a long t-shirt, kind of borderline dress, borderline t-shirt. But there's something about wearing that long sheet of fabric to me to sleep in that is so comfortable. It's like, to me, it's the next best thing from sleeping nude. You have like your whole body kind of covered. You have like fabric close to your body. And for me, I just prefer to not like have my lower back be cold. So whenever there's like a long layer, there's like not a break between the top and the bottom. This is just perfect sleeping conditions as far as me personally. Gown, it makes me feel like I need one of those little candelabras or like little candle, holders where it has like the little plate and the candle sits on it and you kind of go through your house and like wear a nightcap and stuff like that. I don't know. It's very wistful to me. But yeah, I find them very flowy, very comfortable and kind of romantic somehow. So if you haven't gotten on the nightgown bandwagon yet, I highly recommend. And speaking about like long t-shirts, I feel like so many women just love to sleep in their boyfriend's t-shirt or just to have an extra long t-shirt that they sleep in as well. I feel like this is the next most coziest, comfiest, so delightful to sleep in kind of thing. The nightgowns that I have are like, they don't have any stretch in them. They're just like a woven kind of a cotton, but like a t-shirt, which is more of a jersey, is knitted, so it has stretch in it, and that means if you're sort of like moving around in the nighttime, obviously you're going to be so much more comfortable. Nothing is going to be restraining you or restricting your movement or like cutting off blood flow or anything like that. And I think that's what most of us kind of want at nighttime, is just to be unrestricted. Love a men's t-shirt, and I feel like even if you don't have a boyfriend, you can just go to the men's section, right? Like, you don't have to borrow someone else's t-shirt. You can get your own t-shirt as well. For my personal preference, I feel like I really like them extra, extra over large. So the point where like the sleeves are pretty much like coming down to your elbows and like just about covering your bum, that kind of big. I feel like having this oversized t-shirt, it's different than having just like a big t-shirt that you have had in your regular wardrobe that has kind of gotten too tatty to be worn in front of people. The clothes that you sleep in should still be in really good nick, in good condition. They shouldn't be something that has just sort of made it into the sleepwear pile purely because it's not like fit to be seen by anyone anymore, which is kind of like, take this with a pinch of salt, because I feel like sometimes the clothes that we've worn and loved and they've kind of been worn out, sometimes they are the most comfiest things to sleep in, and I'm all about comfort. But I also feel like if it's at the same time something that kind of makes you feel a bit scruffy or a bit kind of like you wouldn't want anybody to see you wearing that, that's kind of like a tiny bit of a danger zone, because you still want to feel like good in your clothes. You still want to feel like you're honoring yourself, having self-respect, you know, for yourself and the clothes that you're dressing yourself in. I would encourage you to go and specifically source like a new t-shirt that you're going to wear specifically for sleeping. It's incredibly soft, like treat yourself to something. It hasn't been worn out. It hasn't been like just sort of downgraded from the regular clothes pile. The last thing that I love to wear for sleeping is like some sort of soft jersey shorts. I was in a subreddit recently where someone was asking for like knee-length shorts, and someone recommended like, why don't you just cut off your pajama pants into shorts, you know, whatever length you want. And it just reminded me that's something that I have absolutely done. Like they started off as pajama pants, and then it was like an emergency one summer night. It was so hot and I just cut the legs off and made them into shorts. Having really, really comfy shorts to sleep in is so, so nice, because they're just not super restricting. You can still kind of like move your legs around, but there's something about shorts where you're kind of not worried about them like riding up on your legs or anything. They just sort of stay where they are, as opposed to pajama pants, which it really irritates me if the like legs of the pajama pants kind of like ride up my leg, you know what I mean? Just like the t-shirts, it's got to be kind of something jersey, something soft. I don't really have the tolerance for something that's like a cotton poplin, or something that's going to like not stretch and move with me as I move through the night as well. A structured like a flannel or something like that, which doesn't have stretch. That's totally fine for me as far as loungewear when I'm up and about and moving through my day. But if I'm sleeping, it has to have like absolute comfort. I'd love to know what your personal favorite thing is to sleep in, and whether it's different than your loungewear pieces. Before we move on to our loungewear part of our wardrobe, I just wanted to quickly address the whole concept of like saving your best pieces, like not wearing your favorite pieces and things like that. And this just really reminded me of that William Morris quote at the start that I shared, which really to me kind of encapsulates the idea of, I guess, having everyday luxuries, and living every day like life is a special occasion. Somebody else quoted something to me on the last video, something along the lines of, how you spend your day is how you spend your life. What are we waiting for? What are we saving it for? What makes one moment more special than another? And can we somehow capture that essence of specialness, of luxury, and draw it into our everyday and allow every day to be special? Some of the best pieces and the most special pieces that we own, allow our special pieces to sort of creep their way into our regular life, and I guess sort of infuse the mundanity and like the normality of everyday life with something a little bit more special. Part of my personal philosophy is that our clothes should serve us. I think that we need to open our minds up a little bit more to the idea that we only have this one life. You know, it's our responsibility to live it to the fullest, you know, and to enjoy ourselves every day. And I feel like, I don't know where this idea has come from that we need to save, you know, special things and like put them on a shelf and never use them. I think a lot of that mindset is kind of falling away now, and more people are claiming more of their everyday life back, and you start to really like bring yourself fully into this present moment, into this day that we have, because really, like, nobody is guaranteed tomorrow, you know? So anyway, personal philosophy, like, wear your best things, definitely. If I can be somebody to advocate for bringing more enjoyment into your life and, I don't know, inspiring more spark or something special, even if it's just, yeah, I bought a nice t-shirt to sleep in, that's it. I'm stoked. I've done my job. I'm happy with that. So moving on to our loungewear pieces, which for some people it might kind of be like sleepwear adjacent, and it kind of depends what you're doing with your loungewear and as you lounge in your home. For me, I like to have a few like more layers. I like to be cozy. I like to have like really nice socks, for example, ones that like come up past your ankle. I'm a pants tucker. I like to tuck my pants into my ankles and just be super, super cozy. Today is a little bit of a dreary, kind of drizzly day, which is unusual for me in the middle of summer, but it's been so nice to just lean into that coziness and kind of experience a little bit of what you guys are also experiencing in the northern hemisphere right now in like autumny, wintry times. You've heard me speaking before about how I love kind of like classic fitting jumpers with cuffs on so that I can, you know, roll up my sleeves and do my dishes without kind of long and loose sleeves kind of dangling in my way. And like, you know, that's just part of my practical life. Like, I'm constantly getting snacks for my kids. I'm constantly at the sink, like washing something. So I just prefer to have something that's a little bit more classic fitting rather than the kind of long and loose sleeves, which are very trendy right now, and they look super cozy, and you know, they have their place in certain people's wardrobes, but for me personally, they tend to be something that I kind of romanticize, and then it doesn't always work out as far as like practical everyday life. I really like to have slippers or house shoes, something that is so, I love the culture, like Japanese culture and like German culture where they have house shoes, and it's very distinct as far as like the rules for outside shoes and indoor shoes, what you wear at home versus what you wear outside in the world. I know that's going to be so different for everybody. Some people like to be barefoot. Some people don't even think twice about wearing their shoes around their house. For me personally, I'm trying my best to keep those two distinct things because the outside can often be just muddy, sandy, you know, tracking in dirt all over the place. And then also like I don't want to wear my slippers outside when I'm kind of going outside to grab something, so that then my slippers then become completely ruined because I've just ran out to the washing line and got them covered in mud. My trusty pair of Uggs that I've had for years, that I inherited from a friend of mine who had them for years before me. Love these. I recommend, if you're going to buy Uggs, like buy the real deal, because something that you can get as a dupe from one of the fast fashion retailers, they might like quote unquote look the same, but they're made from synthetics. The soles are really flimsy. They like squish down and compact and wear out really fast. I have genuinely had these for years, like 4 or 5 years now, and they are still pristine. Look at the soles. And of course, these are things that I wear just in the house. Although having said that, I do wear them sometimes when I'm doing like the nighttime drive around with my kids or something like that. So real Uggs, please, if you're going to buy these, because even though they're pricey, they are so, so worth it as far as the quality. Obviously, if you're a vegan, that's probably not going to be an option for you, but that's a whole nother discussion. Anyway, these are something a little bit newer in my wardrobe, and these are from a French company called Bozabo. I don't know how you would pronounce it, but they're rubber, natural rubber on the bottom, cork sole, and then felt for the actual like top part of the shoe themselves. And yeah, heavily inspired by the whole German house shoe thing, which they pretty much will always have some sort of pair of shoes like this or several pairs like this when you kind of go in the front door and like everybody slips off their shoes and slips on a pair of these bad boys. I originally did buy them to be kind of like the summer version of my Uggs because I wanted something that's not so sweltering on my feet that I can just slip into. They're kind of borderline because the felt is quite a bit thicker and warmer than what I expected, but they still fit into my shoe wardrobe, and I love them. So having something that is felt is definitely going to make it so that I don't wear them out of the house accidentally, versus like something like my Birkenstocks, which can easily sort of transition inside and outside. But they're my outside shoes, and these slippers are now my house shoes. I'm currently wearing my only pair of track pants. It's so comfy, they're so warm, they're so easy peasy to just slip on and off, and I love to have track pants that have like cuffs at the bottom. It's pretty hard to find track pants that are like 100% cotton. I'm pretty sure these are a poly cotton blend, but somehow they've just held up so well. They're from Lorna Jane. Not even one of their like more premium versions. I do recommend like either going into store or like trying out a few pairs. And the thing with track pants, it's so tricky because you can have ones that literally pill immediately. You wear them once and then suddenly they're covered in bobbles all over them. They look old, they look really disastrous, honestly. I recommend these ones from Lorna Jane, and I'll see if I can find the exact name of the pair that they are, because I'm not sure if all of them would wash and wear the same as these, but these have been so good if you're in New Zealand or Australia. They're the kind that's kind of like terry on the inside, so not fleecy on the inside, but kind of like terry. So for me, that makes them a little bit more appropriate for all weathers. You're not going to be too sweltering in them. It's borderline. Again, some people feel kind of sloppy in track pants, but personally I love them for lounging, and I think they're pretty easy to slightly dress up depending on the cut that you get, the color that you get. I know that Everlane does some really good ones too. I do kind of hesitate to recommend Lululemon, even though I'm a really diehard fan of their Align pants. The Align leggings for yoga are my ultimate favorite leggings. To me, track pants are so good because they can easily go with like an oversized hoodie or like really lean into the sporty vibe, or you can easily chuck on like a little tank top or a baby tee or something like that. I find them a little bit versatile as far as quote unquote styling. I don't know, are we calling it styling when it's loungewear? It's really just like throwing on something that you feel like wearing in the moment, right? Something that I have not leaned into, but I think is really cute, and I see photos of women doing this all over like Pinterest and Instagram, are kind of like elevated pajamas. So something that I probably would wear as a lounge piece, but probably it would be too restrictive for me to wear in nighttime. So anything that's made out of cotton, anything that has buttons down the front. There's some really sweet looking pajama sets that look kind of like more on the elevated side, but I still feel like I don't know how comfortable they would be to actually sleep in, but they look like fine for kind of lounging around your house. And they definitely are a little bit of a step above wearing an old or oversized t-shirt, as far as if someone comes to your door and you have to, you know, go out and be seen. I'll put some pictures on screen so you get an idea of what I mean, but they kind of give the vibes of like the girls are coming over for morning mimosas and we're going to make pancakes together kind of thing, which is like slightly like unrealistic as far as me and my lifestyle, but I still kind of romanticize it in my mind. And then I think the only other thing as far as loungewear would be like a nice robe. And I think that's kind of, everybody has a different like sliding scale there as well. Sometimes I will specifically put on like a merino jumper or like a cotton jumper, a cardigan, a hoodie or something to keep warm instead of a robe, because oftentimes if I'm wearing a dressing gown, it makes me feel like kind of frumpy, you know? That's like probably like the peak of frumpiness in my opinion for myself. Just like being swamped in this big kind of like shapeless thing. Like there's super cute dressing gowns that you can get at any price point, and then there's obviously more like the slinky numbers, the cotton waffle versions, the kind of spa robe, which feels a little bit different. And if you have a robe that you're wearing like for a specific activity, for example, like I've just come back from swimming and I'm putting it on the boat to like, you know, sit while my body dries, or, you know, I'm getting ready for a night out and I have my nice robe on, or I'm making breakfast, I'm wearing my nice like satin robe or something. If you're wearing a robe during a particular activity, I feel like sometimes that can help to mitigate the feeling of like I'm just mooching around and like kind of bed rotting and kind of like feeling like I'm in a slump. I do remember living in my dressing gown pretty much when I was living in Ireland, because the temperatures were just a little bit more unbearable than what they are in New Zealand, like definitely colder for longer and like miserable mornings, real dark mornings and things like that. So if it's something that makes you feel comforted and makes you feel like cozy and good, again, like we're judging this based on like how does it make you feel, as opposed to like what are other people thinking about this choice that I'm making in this moment. So just to bring your emotional comfort to the same level as your physical comfort. The last thing that I would probably wear for loungewear is some sort of a flowy dress, like my ones from Daughters of India that I have. Something that's like kind of easy to throw on, that's not restrictive in any way. And yeah, that I can just sort of mooch around in, move around in. And that is something that also kind of doubles as like, oh, if I need to pop out to the shops, or if I need to like head outside to do an errand for any reason, it sort of doubles as that kind of transitional, not quite dressed up for the day, but not quite in my pajamas. I will often wear something kind of flowy like that in the summer, especially if it's going to be kind of like an indoor outdoor day, or kind of don't know what I'm going to get up to with my day, don't really want to get changed 100 times, but don't want to put in too much effort. A dress like that is always perfect. Finally, just touching on like the casual and like the actual clothes of our wardrobe, part of our wardrobe. I didn't really want to focus too much on here because I feel like everybody is so different and everybody's lifestyle is so different. But a few things that I really, really enjoy having in my life are like accessories that work really well for me, whether that's like just the perfect sunglasses for your face. Sunglasses are so important for me here. I wear them every single day pretty much because the UV is pretty strong. I need them for driving and things like that against glare. And yeah, New Zealand just has like quite a lot of sunshine. That wouldn't have been as massive a part of my wardrobe when I was living back in Ireland, where it's mainly rainy, mainly overcast. So everybody has a different, like back in Ireland, I would have been so into scarves, so into jackets, you know? And like there was other accessories that were so important to me for that kind of weather and that kind of lifestyle. So you will obviously know for yourself what are the accessories that are not only practical, but then also you can cater them to your own aesthetic taste as well. Again, it just keeps coming back to that William Morrison quote, like it's functional or it's beautiful or it's both. I also love aprons as somebody who bakes, cooks, cleans, like is at home with my kids often. Aprons can just save your bacon as far as like whatever clothes you're wearing are going to be protected underneath. It's always like, sometimes it's the thing that I think about after I get splashed with tomato sauce. Like, yes, I definitely should have put on an apron like 5 minutes ago. That would have been a good idea. But every time I put on an apron, I feel like it's like putting on armor. It's like being so prepared for the day. It's like almost like a Pavlov's dog's like mental life hack, where I put on my apron and I'm like, I'm ready to get something done, you know, I'm prepared for the task at hand. So yeah, if you kind of struggle with motivation for like mundane things like cooking, cleaning, putting your dishes away, whatever, sometimes all it takes is having a really nice apron and you put it on and you're like, I'm ready. Bring it on. I was pretty heavily influenced by watching YouTubers like Hami Mami, don't really know how to pronounce her name, but anyway, Korean woman who does incredibly diligent work in her life and in her YouTubing. I'll link her down below if for some reason you haven't heard of her. And also Scandish Home. And I love watching ladies like that because they're so devoted to their homes and to their families and stuff, but they're also so into aprons. So I was like, oh yeah, aprons, like they don't just have to be this sort of like functional thing, they can also be beautiful. And then I think the only other thing is just really focusing on natural fibers and focusing on quality. So yeah, for me, it's been more and more so leaning into like check the label, check the label, check the label. Always know what is the fabric content, what are you paying for. Yeah, natural fibers just tend to wear better, wash better, feel better on your skin. They're so functional for so many different reasons. And they tend to be more like temperature regulating as well than something that is essentially usually made out of plastic. So that is another thing that I focus on whenever I'm choosing my different items of clothing. Obviously, activewear is excluded from that. A lot of the time, activewear is specifically has different fibres that are performance based. And then, yeah, just buying the best quality that you can. And the secondhand market is so flooded these days. Like, you can find amazing quality and amazing pieces and things from your favorite brands and things that are, you know, of really good quality for so much less. I so recommend checking out the secondhand market, whatever that looks like for you in your area, like physical shopping or online shopping. I think that's all that I kind of wanted to natter about today. Let me know what you think. What are your favorite pieces to sleep in? Especially, I'm so curious about this because nobody really knows what anyone else sleeps in, you know? So I'm just being nosy at this point. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you made it this far, amazing. Leave me a little like rainbow emoji or something so that I know. And I'll see you so shortly in my next video. All right. Bye.